A lot of brands assume people care about them. They'll do things like generic messaging or care about their brand logo and image. What I think most brands need to do is...
Hey everybody, today I'm here with Camilo. Camilo is an ad creative expert with hundreds of thousands of followers across all of your social media channels, who's supporting a bunch of e-commerce brands and helps them scale using hyper-targeted ad creatives. And at the same time also has one of the largest, if not the largest, video editing communities. And he's also a good friend of mine. Today, we'll basically be going deep into what actually works in 2025 when it comes to e-commerce ad creatives.
There's a lot of people that resonate these days with a lot of authenticity, especially in ads.
What mistakes brands are making.
So I think the biggest issue is that they don't focus on the customer. They don't focus on who they're serving.
How to scale using ad creatives, UGC, and also where the industry in general is headed.
We have tried a lot of AI UGC. The thing is, not an AI UGC versus real UGC. In my opinion, the future.
So, hi Camilo, and to kick things off, do you just want to tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Of course, thank you for that intro. I love that. But yeah, my name is Camilo. I run an agency called Epic Ads Lab. I used to be a video editor whilst I was trying to become an engineer. So I became an engineer and I worked in industry consulting. And then I was an editor making YouTube videos, showing what I was learning. And that led into doing product commercials, which led into working with brands, then which led into building an agency. And now we're here just making videos every single day.
Nice. That sounds fun. So was it like your plan to get into e-commerce, or did you just end up there?
It was a bit of a 50-50 because I think I always wanted to be, I actually wanted to be a YouTuber. I wanted to be like a YouTube creator that made cool videos and people go, wow, that's a cool video. And then I realized the path that I wanted to get to was to make these really fancy product commercials, like really nice looking studio lights, camera angles. Like I know everything about how to use a camera and a gimbal and whatnot. And then I was doing that for a bit and it built up my following. And then I was getting e-commerce brands saying, hey, can you do this commercial for my brand? So I was getting products shipped to my house. And during COVID, this happened a lot. And then we kind of went into doing loads and loads of that until I think TikTok came out, and then high production videos just didn't convert as well because everyone was doing that UGC type organic. And so someone would see something that's really polished and then they'll scroll past. So I had to pivot, and then that's kind of how we've been. But like, I think it comes in waves because now you want to have some high production stuff, but we can get into that in a bit.
Yeah. And that was like one of my next questions. Like, are you still doing some high production things, or is it now like purely UGC, low production?
It depends a lot on the brand. So if we see that a brand has ample UGC or ample organic type videos, and maybe we think that we should try something high end because it promotes a certain desire, then we will try it. I think overall most brands just need a lot of diversity, a lot of different types. Because if you go on my feed on Instagram, there's a lot of highly produced videos, filmmaking, high production, commercials, blah, 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 because that's what I like. But if you go onto my girlfriend's, hers is like, girls like on the day vlogging, like super low tier. So that's why you need to have both so that the high production ones show up on mine and the low ones show up on hers. And so it depends a lot on the research we do for the client and whether we think it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. And which of those do you personally prefer? Like on the one side in terms of like creating them, but then also in terms of like seeing them, watching them?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I like to make... I like both. The high production ones is a lot of work because like you have to get a lot of things right, lighting, and as we scale it, we have to get teams to do them. UGC is a lot easier, but it's very technical in the research process. You have to be very technical with what words you use, what kind of person you find, etc. So there's good aspects of both. We do, I would say, about 70% organic type content, 30% of the high produced stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And Is your goal or is your dream still to become a YouTuber, or have you like shifted away from that?
Well, weirdly, I became a YouTuber because I was on my main channel. I was teaching everything that I was learning, and at one point I started doing like car videos, filming cars, and then my channel exploded. So I had, at one point I was getting 500,000 views a month, for like 6 months straight, and it was crazy. Um, but I kind of I got the play button, as you can see, and I got a lot of fame. And then I was like, I don't really want to do car videos. Like, I kind of like doing the e-commerce stuff. I'm getting like jobs from the e-commerce stuff. And what I did switch it to was building my editing community, which has helped me a lot to find good talent. Because I think good editing talent is really hard. But yeah, basically became a YouTuber, not like a Mr. Beast or like a super creator, but YouTube is a big part of what I do, and it's taken a bit of a step back. But yeah, I think I did start a new channel with the ads for the ads channel for getting ad clients. But yeah, I guess hopefully I have a second play button.
Nice. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
And do you still focus on also like growing the video editing community?
Yeah, it is a big aspect of what we do. So I run it with a guy called Jack. He also has another YouTube channel. We just started running ads to a paid product with an upsell to the community, just to kind of hit that cold traffic because we kind of stalled our own personal brands. But so far we have about 700 members. We have two different tiers, and we want to grow this to like an 1,000 member thing plus.
Nice. And this community, I assume it helps you a lot with like creating the ads for the e-commerce brands and finding like good editors.
Yeah, for sure. It really keeps me ahead of what I have to stay ahead of what's working on social because we're showing editors, hey, this is what's working, this is what you need to learn. So if I'm very behind, then I'm telling editors stuff that's dated. And when I need to find talent, it's super easy. I just go like most of the people that I've hired in the agency have been from VP Plus, and it's mainly because these people are, they're kind of thankful from what we teach them, but also very hard working, which is very hard sometimes to find someone on Upwork or Fiverr who's just like dedicated to be a good editor and really hone their craft.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally get like a lot of brands are really struggling with like finding high quality editors, creators, all of those things. And you have a huge advantage there. Just on the one hand, because you have a huge following and also have like the authority, but also a lot of people like following you who are interested in that. But then also you have the community where you can just basically pick the best editors and then ask them whether they want to work with you together.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. But now let's get more into the e-commerce side of things. I mean, you work with a lot of like huge e-commerce brands and help them with their creatives. Nowadays, what would you say? What do you see in terms of the mistakes that a lot of brands are making? Like, why are there? Yeah, what is wrong with their creative strategy?
I think I guess it depends how you define the strategy because there's the front end and there's the back end bit. They both do work together. So if you have a very good ad but a terrible landing page, it doesn't matter. It still shows up as no conversions on the ad account. But if you focus mostly on the attention acquisition part of the creative strategy, it would be a lot of brands think that they assume people care about them in the beginning, so they'll do things like generic messaging or care about their brand logo and image, not realizing that 0.0001 of the population is seeing their stuff. They think that, oh, they're gonna spend this much, like 5K on ad spend. They think that it's gonna be a lot of people to see it, but that's not really the case. Maybe the impressions kind of give them that idea. So I think the biggest issue is that they don't focus on the customer. They don't focus on who they're serving, because everybody's self-interested. Like everyone cares about what's in it for me. If I see a jewelry brand and the content they're making is just talking about how it's waterproof, it's like that's only people that care about waterproof jewelry are gonna watch that. But if someone just cares about designs or to feel good or for status seeking, scroll past. And so they'll try that message because that's what they think is the USP of their business. People don't really care. And so what I think most brands need to do is really care about what their customers and potential customers care about at different stages of the marketing sophistication level.
Yeah. And how do you, or how do the brands find that out?
A lot of research. Our biggest lever that we pull is how we do the research. So how we find uh, angles, ideas, things people say. We find what humans say. So people in the comment section, on forums, reviews, 1-star reviews tell you everything that you need to know about a product, especially in the competitor brands, because some people might choose to go to a different brand because they left a 1-star review saying, "Oh, I didn't like the fact that this product did this, blah blah blah." So going from that kind of information is good, and then I would say that's about 60-70% of a strategy. The other 30 is just taking swings, just like trying something new, just trying something you saw from a different industry, a different niche. We like to find things that work in a specific niche, and then try to find things that work in adjacent niches. So say you're a collagen supplement brand, we will find things that work for other collagen products and competitors, but we'll also see what works in the protein shake supplements, in the creatine supplements, and then we'll also look at maybe like green tea or some other stuff, see what works for them, and then see how we can implement it and remix it. So I would say those are the two things that most brands just don't do. They just put up a bunch of stuff that they think is going to work, or they just copy somebody else, and then they're like, why is this not working?
Yeah. And do you have like a specific framework that you follow when it comes to like testing those different angles or pain points, or does it really like depend on each individual case?
So we do have some winning angles and creatives that we will, let's call it, repurpose with the information that we get from the research. So let's say we have an ad for so we have a luxury calculator, okay, and we have winning concepts for other tech products. We will find them. We will obviously remix it and use the research for this. Um, mainly based on the concept idea. So whether it's going to be, I don't know, a street interview, or it's a uh, agitate pain, or it's a desire driven type creative. And then what goes in it, what people say, what words they use, what copy comes from the research.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you already briefly touched on like the branding ads aspect versus what I would think, what I would say is more like the direct response approach, where you would like call out a pain, call out something specifically. What is your take on that? Like, are there cases where brands should do like more branding or branded ads and direct response, or is it all direct response?
No, there is a case for sure. I think brands that need to focus on branding, logos, and all that stuff come when you hit a certain amount of spend and a certain size, because branding, ultimately good branding, really lowers your cost of advertising, because somebody will come back because they like the brand, or somebody will hear about the brand. Oh, did you hear about like Udi, for example? That's a very good brand. Like, you know it, you've heard it, you know it's something that people have. You will see that same product in different brands, but you'll call it an Udi. The same thing as like here we have like a type of vacuum. It's called a Henry. So that's super strong branding. Like even something that looks remotely like it, you'd be like, that's a Henry. So I would say only focus on branding if you've hit and you've proven a market fit with direct response. You can be profitable, and then you can spend money on branding, and you can spend money on creative that is more brand orientated, that is maybe more for, maybe don't get the highest cost per result, the highest ROAS, but it's there so people can, kind of like McDonald's put these signs everywhere. It's just to remind you that they exist, that they are. So what the bigger brands do, like it works for them. You know, you get reminded that, oh yeah, I could eat McDonald's. I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, Totally agree with that. I mean, we also work with brands from all sizes pretty much.
Yeah.
And I notice, like back in the days, I used to think that direct response is like the only way to go, and that's what
Yeah.
like every brand should do. And I was
Yeah.
always like thinking that if Nike, if Apple, if they would do more direct response, they would have better results. But now I slowly start to realize that at a certain point, at a certain stage, it just makes sense to go with a branded approach.
Yeah.
But I think most brands overestimate it and do it too early, too
Yeah.
quickly.
Agreed.
Like I noticed that especially with like the smallest brands or the smallest clients that we work with, that they usually put way more focus and attention on that all the creatives look on brand and look
Yeah.
nice and have the logo, when in their case they shouldn't care about that at all. Like for
Yeah.
them, they should focus everything on getting conversions, getting sales, proving what works, and just testing out what works.
Yeah.
But after you've reached a certain point, then it also makes sense to.
Yeah. I think it comes down to, can you afford branding? Because it's expensive, because it's reminding people of your specific business and how they should act towards it. And then I think it also comes down to um, how unique is your product, where it has to have a good brand. Because everyone knows about dropshipping, everybody can find the same person, the same manufacturer. If you manage to take a product like, say, this calculator, and then you install a chat GPT API into it, and you're the only one that's done that, being branded as one of the first or the second ones to do that is the most important thing that you can do. Maybe at an early stage, but I think it's really rare. You can't. It only happens to those brands that can rely on its uniqueness.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And now let's say you work with a brand and you test a bunch of creatives, do a lot of like different variations, angles, scripts, whatever, and nothing works. Like nothing gets results. How do you know whether it's like an issue with the creatives, or whether it's the product, the website, the offer? Yeah.
Great question. So we will look at different metrics. If we've tried all the creatives that we thought were going to work and they didn't, we would look at conversion rates from ad to site and kind of see if that's the issue. How many add to cards but no purchases? Maybe get some Shopify stats as well. And then we'll see, maybe the ad isn't aligning with the website. Maybe there's something on the website and the offer doesn't look good enough. Maybe it's AOV problem. Maybe the AOV is too low, or maybe it's too high for what it is. And then we kind of compare that with what we see from other brands do. On the creative side, we will look at, okay, is it that these ads just the hook rates suck? Is it that people aren't watching it? Is it that it's not getting any clicks? There's a lot of metrics we look at. Typically, I believe that there's no wasted ad spend, because you still get data. You still get data of it, like whether it's good or whether it's bad. So we just take that and we kind of model it, and we look at what went wrong, what we try next, and then we'll iterate. And then if again we iterate and it doesn't work, then there's some other issue going on that we have to look at. Kind of like I said, you have the front end and the back end, so like they have to work together.
Yeah. And are there also cases where you like support the brands with like the back end, or you tell them like the offer doesn't work, the page doesn't work?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a CRO expert, and typically I will recommend other CRO people for it, just because I know they'll be the best at it. But I can make recommendations as to like, look, your AOV needs to be higher, or you're only selling one product, and you can maybe add a bundle. Is there something that we can do? Can you put the two best selling products together and make a bundle? That typically huge swings. Or maybe we just say your price is too low. Like there's like 5 other brands, they are way more expensive. With the right ads, they come into your site. Like we can probably make this work a lot better. So we do provide some recommendations. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That makes sense. And let's say you could only look at 3 metrics when you're analyzing creatives. Like which ones would you look at?
Oof, 3 metrics. Probably cost per result. Mm, I guess at what stage of the business is it at? Because I was gonna think definitely a click through rate, but it depends what stage the click through rate. So say it's just like early testing, I'll just look at click through rate all, because I will tell you, is anybody even clicking on the video, opening the comments, like doing anything with the ad or the interacting. If it's later, like a higher scaling stage, I'll look at unique outbound click through rate instead. But so it'll probably be cost per result, click through rate, and then hook rate will be the three. I think are the most. But I had to only choose three. What about you? Like, because you run a lot of ad accounts. What do you look at?
Great question.
Yeah,
just
it's
pulling,
yours.
just pulling the Uno reverse card.
Yeah.
Depends on also depends on the brand and the stage. I would say either CPA or return on ad spend, depending on the brand. Usually the CPA, or the cost per new customer, cost per acquisition. Then the link click through rate. And the third one, if it's a video, I think also the hook score or the hook rate. If not, potentially like the CPM or the cost per click. But it's
That makes
tough.
sense.
It's
Yeah,
tough
it
only
is.
to only look at three
Yeah,
metrics.
because they all tell a story. That's
Yeah,
so a specific story that it tells. Yeah.
yeah, it does. And when it comes to the advertise, like what kind of styles of creatives do you recommend or do you implement for brands? Because we have like UGC, we have statics, we have founders ads, expert ads, influencer ads. Like, what do you see work best and has like the highest ROI on average?
I think it depends a lot on the stage of the brand. Let's say you're a 0 to 10K a month brand. You wanna The most important thing is you want to see what works in terms of the messaging. Like, what's the message that say you're selling a supplement brand, your supplement brand for women to reduce bloating. Is it that I hate how bloating looks? I hate how bloating feels? Is it that I want to go to the toilet more often? I don't know. Like, which is the messaging first? I think that's the first step, and you can do that with a handful of UGC concepts. Make it really easy. I would say 10K to 50K a month plus. If you're a brand that has a strong founder, you definitely need some founder ads. I see that as a way to build a cult following. There's a lot of people that resonate these days with a lot of authenticity, especially in ads, and they're looking for those ads that are, oh, here's the founder. He's getting on camera, like he's talking about this. I want to follow that. I resonate with this, especially in this day and age, which is a lot more entrepreneurial. So I'll say I would definitely put founder ads in that stage. Statics are always really good for the bottom of the funnel, although we have had one ad account scale ridiculously with one static ad. I guess it does depend on the product. I would say for UGC, I think UGC is too generic. I think there's the type of UGC you use, because you can have like a video sales letter type UGC where you take somebody from generic like unaware stage down to a like super aware stage. So I think you'll have to categorize it based on the awareness stage and then the kind of concepts that you do. I think street interviews work really well. They're a very good type of creative. We have had really good success with a few of them. I think I mean AI voiceovers with the right visuals can cook really well. I'm a big fan of those, especially once we know the messaging. And then I would say higher produced type content works well for educational products that need education. Like if you're like a tech product, like you need something that looks really pristine, clean, but also explains the techie stuff for those people that are techie. So I really that's why we say hyper targeted ad creatives, because they have to be targeted. The content does the targeting. The media buying is like I'd say like 30%, because if you have bad media buying, it still makes a huge impact, but you only get so much if you have terrible creative. Because if you put the wrong targeting, it's just not gonna the wrong creative, the wrong targeting in the creative is just not gonna work.
Yeah. And how important do you think is the communication between like the media buyers and the creative team, or should it be like the same person or the same team working on both of those, or yeah, how to ensure the best results?
I think a media buyer who understands creative is gonna be an absolute killer. So a media buyer who understands like this video would do well because I saw it work in another account or whatever. That would be the like ultimate Giga Chad level of marketer. I do think a happy medium is you have the creative team, you have the media buying team. They meet once a week. They tell us what's working. They tell us what they think. We tell you what we think, and we come up with a plan. I think that's the best happy medium. But we have worked with some brands who the media buyers were doing stuff that only worked in 2018, and it makes our creative look bad. So we started making a creative testing playbook. So it's just everything that we've learned from our experience and other media buyers. Even stuff that you have taught me, I've written that in the playbook. So that just so we can cover all the bases.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I assume it's very frustrating if you have like very, very good creatives, or you create a bunch of creatives and then you see that the media buyers are just messing everything up and they're using like outdated strategies, or not using the creatives the right way. Um,
No, the
yeah.
worst is when they shut down the creative because the one that got the most spend didn't get any results, and the other ones didn't get any spend yet. I'm just like, what? Why do we do all of this?
Yeah, I know that feeling. But yeah, no, that's great. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on creative fatigue, because I know that some of our clients they're very, very afraid of creative fatigue, and they, in my opinion, want us to turn off ads too quickly, because the performance of the ads is still good. The performance is great, but they think that everyone has already like seen the ad in the target audience, and they are really, really afraid of annoying someone, and they don't want the same person to see an ad multiple times, and therefore like want to turn it off. And then we have clients on the other extreme that just don't don't provide enough content, not focus enough on creatives and having enough assets, where we just have to use the same creatives for multiple months, sometimes even a year of using like the same videos and just like repurposing as much as we can.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it, I think uh, the first one I think is a limiting belief. I don't think you're gonna saturate a whole market. I think every market has sub segments, and I don't like. I think it's fine if you have a frequency of above two. I think it's fine because we have seen some ads that's still profitable with frequency of like 2.8 or something ridiculous. Um, I think it comes down to it's a creative problem. Like if you're afraid of ad fatigue, just make more ads so that you can and make more angles and change it up so that if I don't think anybody gets annoyed when they see a fresh take of something. I don't think so. And I think, if ad fatigue was as scary as they make it seem, then every single brand would would be having those catastrophic problems. But in reality is the brands that are continuously iterating on creative and just making sure that the metrics stay good and don't have that limiting belief do the best. I think for people that don't make new creative, like they're leaving a lot of money on the table because if it's just I think that's worse because you're not allowing other people who consume content in a different way to see that stuff. I see content as more like a slot machine token, but the token works on different slot machines. And say you have a static that's like one token, you put that on one slot machine, and you can win 0 to 10K in dollars, and then you have the other one, and you can have a different amount of earnings. It just depends on the machine you use from the tokens.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how do you kind of like find the balance between reiterating what like already works, or like angles, ads, scripts, whatever that have already proven themselves to work, versus like testing completely new things?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. That's something that we still work a lot on. I would say at the moment it's about 30% of stuff is fresh new swings that we, the creative team, just like have that, oh, what if we try this? But the majority of stuff is don't reinvent the wheel. Try something that's worked. We just know the research is gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting, because what we really want is somebody to look at an ad and have that feeling that Facebook is spying on them. They're like, how did they know I have that problem? Like, how is it? That's what we want. And when we take new swings, we have to make sure we're using the context and the research really well. It's just how we demonstrate it. So for some brands, a brand new swing might be taste testing different toothpastes, or rather than just doing what everybody else is doing, and it's just someone talking about why it's so good and why I replaced my old one.
And when it comes to like the budget, do you have like any like ballpark or recommendation how much percentage you would like to, like for a brand to spend on stuff that they already know that works, and how much should they spend on testing like completely new things?
That's a good question, actually. So I would say if you're less than 10K a month, 100 to $150 a day minimum, you can test that between like 20 creatives, 20 different creative angles. It's not the best because you are diluting, but I know that some brands are starting very small. So I would say you start there. And I would say maybe probably keep it 70-30. 70% of your spend goes to things you know it's going to work and it's proven, and then the other 30% will go into testing new things. And if obviously something new that we tested works really well, you can graduate that to a scaling campaign, and that's good. It just depends on, that's like more of like what you would do. That's your speciality.
Yeah. I mean, it also depends on how much you already have that works. Like, obviously, if you're just starting out, you don't have anything that works, then you obviously have to spend the majority on like testing new things.
Yeah,
But once you're at a point where you have a bunch of ads or angles that you just know that they work, then it definitely makes sense, as you mentioned, to have like 70-80% of the budget towards what works, but then still make sure that you spend at least like 20-30% on testing new things.
yeah,
Because otherwise, at some point, the things that you know that work, they will saturate, or they will fatigue. And if you don't test new things, you'll never know when you're able to find something better and something new.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
And I mean, nowadays, especially in the last couple of months or 1-2 years, a lot of things are changing with AI and with like fake UGC creators, AI generated creators, AI generated ads. How are you seeing that trend moving forward, and how are you kind of like adapting to that?
This is a great question. Very, very. There's a lot of buzz about this right now. I'll just tell you my entire experience, just flat out. So, we have tried a lot of AI UGC, a lot of that Chat GPT image to Sora video, person holding the product. It is a very much hit or miss. Like, we have had some ads that are just doing really well, and we're like, this is great. But also, we edited them in a way where at any point it looks fake. There's a cut or there's some B-roll or there's something, because the majority of people, what they do is they go to, let's say, Arcads, they get the AI UGC, put a caption, post it, and they're like, why is it not working? It's like, well, because it looks too much like AI right now. So, or they try the AI video stuff, and they're like, why isn't it working? It's like, well, because it still looks too much like AI. So you still have to take that footage and you still have to edit it in a way, like have good pacing, make it look as raw, organic, or make it look as polished as you need to. So you have to be very careful with that because you know, obviously some people, not just boomers, will see an AI video and go, "Oh, this is real," or "Oh, this is fake." Like, it can happen on both sides. But I would say, like, we've had some winners from it, but they haven't scaled. Like they've got some cool results, you know, purchases or whatever, but none of them have really scaled past what a real human does. In my opinion, the future is not an AI UGC versus real UGC or AI versus real. I think it's an and, not an or. In my opinion, I think nothing will be a human being who can do a challenge video or go and speak to other human beings. And I think most humans seek that human interaction and seeing another human on the other side. Um, Even if the AI gets really good, I think people will crave that. Also, I think there'll be regulations. I think, you know, something bad will happen where they need to have regulations. And I think the majority of the time, AI UGC will be used for testing. So you have like, hey, let's do a round of AI tests, find the messaging. Great, we've saved ourselves on costs for creators. Now we know this is working, let's use the creators. Now we know the creators are working, let's do some whitelisting. Now we know whitelisting is working, let's do brand. That's probably the process that will work.
Yeah. So you think creators will still have a job?
I think so. I think it'll be competitive. I think what it will do is it will the same thing will happen to them what's happening to video editors right now. Like 3 years ago, you can be an average video editor doing Alex Ramosi captions. Now you can't. There's an AI that does it. Submagic, uh, insert AI software that does it. You have to be a visual storyteller. You have to get good. You have to increase your skill as an editor. You have to know when to cut, what footage to use. It can't look like a bot edited this. And I think the same thing with UGC. Like if a UGC creator looks too much like a bot and is just saying things that sound too much like ads, yeah, why would I use you? I should use somebody who looks more organic or is a good storyteller, has a good presence. Um, I think creators will have jobs. It'll just be more competitive and harder for you to stand out, being and harder for you to just be average, way harder.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And I also think that like AI will obviously become better and better over the next couple of months and years. And at some point, it will be very, very difficult to distinguish a real human being versus an AI avatar. But I think in the near future, it will be primarily useful for testing a lot of things, just because even if you don't have a huge budget, if you don't have a lot of creators, you can just spin up some ads and test like 20, 30, 50 different hooks, different pain points, different messaging, and just see what at least like resonates a little bit better, a little bit more,
Yeah.
and then use that as like a guideline to create real ads or to hire creators.
Yeah, but also think about this, right? How would you feel if Nike did an AI UGC ad?
Depends how it looks like. I mean, on
Exactly.
the one hand, it would be weird,
Yeah.
because they can afford it.
Yeah.
I think Coca-Cola did this one really bad one where they got completely roasted and ripped apart.
Exactly.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think if you get to that we talked about earlier, that's that branding stage, like why are you doing like I think AI is it's more of a means to solve the problem, which is advertising is expensive. Let's do a cheap way to test it. And I think it will be associated with maybe brands that are like early stages if they get caught or if it's too obvious. But I think yeah, like how Coca-Cola got roasted completely. You'd almost be like, why? Like, what are you doing? Just pay somebody.
yeah, yeah. I think moving forward, it will be more interesting if brands like use AI, but then they also like show that it's AI generated, or maybe they will have to do it, and there will be like restrictions where they have to say that it's AI generated. But I think you could create like really cool ads by mixing AI stuff and real stuff and just using the different facets, but
Yeah.
not just completely using AI to try to recreate something that a creator could do.
Yeah, exactly. Like something cool, like put a shoe in like a cool environment, or if you're selling, I don't know, like a baseball bat, like make the fire like go into a ball, and that's AI, and I think that's fine because it's fun and it looks cool. It's gonna allow you to be more creative with the content. As you know, like you know, CGI exists, and we see ads with CGI, and we don't go, that's CGI, that sucks. If the CGI is good, we go, oh, that's a really cool ad. I love how they did that. So I think it'll just make the barrier to entry for a lot of brands a lot easier.
I think we're both way too young for that. But do you think when movies and the industry started using CGI, there were like people against that or afraid that it will make things not real?
Yeah, yeah. Now you got to think about. I mean, I don't even know because, I mean, you've probably seen a movie where the CGI was a bit weird, and you're like, this looks fake,
Yeah,
and it kind of tarnishes the image. But if the story is good, you know, it's fine. Can't complain.
yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Now, the last question that I have for you, if you would just have if you just could have give one piece of advice to an e-commerce brand founder looking to scale this year using ads, using creatives, what would it be?
Don't look at yourself as a brand trying to make content or make ads. Look at yourself as a media production company that monetizes with a product.
Mhm.
I would say that would be a belief shift and a perspective shift. Like, think of yourself as how Mr. Beast sells Feastables, right? Rather than it's Feastables. Like, if you look at it that way, then media, which is the game, currency is the new attention is the new currency. You have to start with attention. So you have to think about the media. You're a media production house. What you sell though is your product or service.
And do you think e-commerce brands nowadays need to, or the founders also need to build a personal brand?
I don't think they need to, but I think it helps immensely, especially for that kind of branding aspect. I think you can get really far with just founder-led content. We've seen it a lot, and that's why it's getting popular because you'd be like, oh, that's the guy from who's the founder of this thing. But I think that only works if the product is unique enough. I don't think it's gonna, if there's two candle candle businesses and one as a founder that's like, I made a candle because I like like, is that like, you don't care. But if it's something super unique, like a drink that has certain chemicals that make you sharp and whatever, that hasn't been done before, then you go, okay, cool. His story was he couldn't focus and whatever and blah blah blah. So then you get sold into that more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Yeah, this was great. Really, really valuable. Thank you. Where can people follow you and get in touch with you if they want to learn more about you or about Epic Ads Lab?
I think Twitter and YouTube are the two best platforms. Twitter is at Cami Sees, and YouTube is Cami's Ad Lab. And yeah, I post a lot of videos, make a lot of tweets. Thank you,
Awesome.
Andrej.
Yeah, I'll definitely follow you. I mean, I do follow you, but I would recommend everyone to follow you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sweet.